Howdy Mountain City. Thanks for joining us with our Bible devotion today. So we're going to go through Deuteronomy 30 and 31. And so as I'm reading and I summarize this passage hopefully well for you guys, it starts off with the Lord speaking through Moses as he proclaims all the beautiful blessings that we receive through our obedience. And so even though they were scattered, he promises to unite them. He blesses and continues to bless them. He promises success in all that they do. But it was all upon the condition that they would be obedient. And as it continues after verse 10, the Lord doesn't just remind us of the prosperity that we receive in obeying him, but he also, as a loving father, reveals the consequences of us disobeying. And so he compares it to life and death, to prosperity, again, to destruction. And so we get to Deuteronomy 31, and Moses is wrapping up his instruction, and he says this last kind of hoorah to his people that unfortunately he would no longer continue with them because of his previous disobedience, but Joshua would, and the Lord would not forsake them, but would continue to walk with them. And so as Moses gives his last instruction, he asks them to continue reading this instruction, to continue to remind them to be obedient at the end of every 7th year. And so the Lord reveals to Moses in his time that his time on earth is up, but God also shares the unfortunate truth to Moses that Israel would again rebel and disobey. Even with the promise of the promised land, they would come, they would remember all the greatness, and then they would disobey and they would worship other gods, which would then lead to what, again, we go back to Deuteronomy 30, what the promise would be their disaster. And so as we continue on, unfortunately, they rebel, and that is the end of Deuteronomy 31. And so something that really stuck with me is that we soon run to our disobedience when we're not walking in the gratitude of what the Lord has done for us. And so my application to all of you is, each day I pray and I ask that you would remember what the Lord had did for you the day before. And I think in the midst of you sharing your testimony with others, it reveals, man, God's brought me so far. And so then we live out of gratitude. And so the God of then is the same God now. And what he asks of us is not just obedience, but also in love. And so I pray and I'd ask that you would do both of those things, that you would both love God and obey him. And so my question that I would love for you guys to ponder is, as each morning as you wake up, God, what did you do for me yesterday in the way that you showed that you loved me? And I think it's just really important that you think through that, because then I think that day it would allow you to live out of gratitude and obedience. And so I really appreciate you guys walking through Deuteronomy 30 and 31 with us. And I am encouraged by all of you spending time in God's word, and I pray that you would continue. If you forgot to do it the day before or the weeks before, man, just jump right in. And again, there is a promise and a blessing to be in God's word. And so I pray that you would. And so I look forward to seeing you guys hopefully on a Sunday. And thanks so much.